I awoke from my slumber from the soft twittering of jaybirds nearby. The sun peeked through the trees as it arose higher in the brilliant azure sky. I felt refreshed and sated from last night's dinner and ready to meet the day head on. I felt carefree and optimistic for now, though, without a shadow of doubt, this would drastically change by nightfall. There was nothing Theo could say or do to quell my fears for the coming onslaught that we had to endure. The previous day we had passed another chemist shop. I had ran eagerly towards the shop, but Theo called desperately for me to stop. I halted in my tracks and stood bewildered as half the store collapsed before my very eyes. Today, I was determined to go back and fetch new medical kits, antibiotics, and hope none of those were crushed in the rubble. We were lucky enough to find a smattering of useful goods. As we made our way out, the familiar roar of jet sound drew our attention towards the sky. A bright orange plume indicated the direction where the precious cargo could be found. I ran as fast as I could, hell-bent on tracking the parachute that weaved and bobbed in the breeze. I swallowed the cry I had in my mouth to hide the frustration on losing sight of it. I sat cross-legged on the dry yellow grass, my head in my hands, silently weeping at our misfortune. Theo wrapped his arms tenderly about me and murmured that everything would be okay. I just didn't have the heart to disagree with him. We had trekked blindlessly over the plains field to follow the cargo drop, that I hadn't realized how far we were away from our small protective shelter. Daylight was slipping through our hands. Did we have enough time to make it back safely? Swigging on the bitter tasting grain alcohol, I let its fiery liquid burn down my throat. Somewhat giddy, I flexed my muscles and did a pre-warm-up of sorts, and then ran home like a bat out of hell. We had made it home with a reasonable amount of time to spare. We used the extra time to reinforce our small encampment in furthering the distance of the log spikes from our central position. I loaded my pistol and counted out the few precious bullets that I had in my satchel. I would have to depend on Theo with his hunting rifle, as he had more ammunition than I. If all else fails, I still had my trusty crossbow to fall back on. Darkness swelled in front of us, and a blood moon rose in the twilight sky, heralding the horde to come seek us with reckless joy. Biting down hard on my lip, I aimed in the distance as the undead ran toward us with unabandoned fury, their squeals rupturing the silent night as I carefully targeted the crosshairs on their decayed heads. The smell of gunpowder and rotting meat assaulted my senses. They died one after another as they trampled on the log spikes to get to us, forming huge blood mounds. My bullets and nerves were spent, but Theo steadfastly ploughed on, killing the remaining zombies that shambled to our small, well-built shelter. During the early hours of the morning, I huddled down in a corner with Theo's protective arms around me after the ordeal of the horde. We had endured and survived 1 week on our own without the protection of the compound and others. Our future stretches out before us like the never-ending road, beckoning like a long-lost friend to continue on, one road at a time, one day at a time. Our fate decided by a flip of a shiny silver coin on which road to take. But for now, I surrender myself to sleep and hopefully a blissful dream.